No, we're going live on my Facebook page, and then this will be shared in the Ladies Who Launch group. So
I get it. Okay, cool.
Welcome everybody to Conversations with Ladies Who Launch. You can see we're super casual here. My name is Anthea Cutler and I'm your mindset coach for women in business. And today I am joined by the one and only Tori Crewes, business strategist, video whiz head. He's back. I'm so excited to have you on, Tori.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. It's very exciting.
So if you are catching us live, please say hello. Tell us where you're tuning in from. If you're catching us on the replay, #replay, give us any questions, any loving. We would love to come back and have a chat to you.
Yeah.
I have known Tori for a long time now, and it is so cool to catch up. We had a little chin wag before we got on, but I think most of it's going to happen here.
I think so.
So first question, Tori. I would love for you to introduce yourself the way that you would love to hear others talking about you.
Okay, yeah, it's really interesting to think about that, the way you'd like others to talk about you. I guess a business strategist with a big heart is something that I've heard people reflect back to me and often makes me cry. So that's really nice. And a video conversion superwoman. It is my specialty, video conversion. And I do love a superhero t-shirt. So that's how Superwoman really came into play about 4 years ago now. And then over that time, I've really developed those expertise in alignment with your whole business plan and business strategy. So video strategist, absolutely. Video conversion specialist. But I'm also, highly intuitive and love working with energy, and I see energy. And so I'm really about aligned, soulful business. So it's got to be in alignment with your definition of success, not someone else's. And that's really a journey that I have lived over the last 6 years, discovering what that means for me and getting it wrong and getting it right and then getting it wrong and then getting it right again. And so I really do understand that journey very well, with no judgment whatsoever. But I do love helping people uncover their definition of success, because for some people that is, to scale a multi-7-figure company with a big team. And for others, it's like, oh, I don't want a team. I don't want to manage people. I want to work by and for myself. That is, that is success to me, and that is freedom to me. And I don't think there is one right or wrong way. I think it's really about knowing who you are and then serving accordingly, structuring your business accordingly so that it's in alignment with that and supports that, and then allows you to feel that expansiveness, that peace, and express who you really are. So I'm obsessed with your uninhibited purpose-led expression. That's really, your expression is my why. And so business strategy and conversion and sales and launches. I love all of that, and I get really jazzed and excited about the strategic aspects as well. But it's really where that meets your you-ness and your expression of that makes my soul sing. So that wasn't at all concise. But yeah, a sprinkle of those things would be good.
Yeah. And like the reason I was telling you on the chat that the reason I like to do these conversations with Ladies Who Launch is because I like to draw back the curtains to show people who have either just started in business or who are ready to go next level in their business, that launching, being the CEO of your business, the next level for you is probably not as far away as you think it might be. And it's often a big, imperfect kind of situation. So I know that your business has taken on a lot of evolution. Where was it that you started? Why did you start in business?
So I started when I went back to work after my son had turned 1. And I realized that the big grand plan that I had for how this was all going to work wasn't going to work. Really, I just felt like I couldn't sell the services that I was selling anymore. It didn't feel in alignment with my values as a parent. I had been working in the not-for-profit sector in early childhood, and my office was actually in a daycare facility. And I had it all worked out. I thought my son was going to be, you know, down the hall, and I'd be in my office, and I'd just carry on the same, right? And then I wasn't ready to say goodbye to him and have someone else raise him down the hall. And it just didn't suit me at all. And we'd had a bit of a rocky start to his life. He had an illness at 7 days old that meant we nearly lost him. And so we had, so we were, you know, overprotective, as you would be. And so I just really felt that, like, I thought this was going to work. It's not going to work. And I felt this in a pull. I had been in a lot of entrepreneurial Facebook groups. I had already spent several decades supporting other businesses strategically, mostly, I guess, complementary health or yoga, acupuncturists, that sort of thing, in terms of either opening their clinic or launching their teacher training programs. I've done a lot of that work on the side, in addition to working in the not-for-profit and in addition to performing. And so I just thought, well, I'll start serving those types of people in an intuitively led way, because I didn't want to box myself in. And it really started there. I was heavily involved in about 10 Facebook groups, and, you know, connecting with clients there, serving them. I started off charging $50 for a business reading. And most of them were written because my son was a baby who didn't sleep. And so sometimes I was doing them at 2 a.m. And I couldn't commit to a schedule. So, like, that's literally how I started. And then it evolved into face-to-face sessions for $150 each, I think. And I did that for a year or two. And then it really clicked for me around video. And it's like, well, duh, you've been a live TV director. Duh. Like, you did 3 years at drama school. Duh. Like, look at all these other experiences you've had, right? And I really started to piece together all aspects of me and my life and my experience, and then zoomed in on video strategy and video conversion, and helping people who were either in startup and scared to get in front of the camera and making that a safe experience for them, right through to people who love being in front of the camera and were spending a lot of time there, but it wasn't resulting in conversion or in them, you know, increasing their revenue or their service or their impact or their reach or any of it. So, you know, which I think is really common. Yeah. And there's absolutely no shame in that if that's the situation that you're in, because I did see a big gap between straight business strategy and then what people were doing with their videos. And so I created a curriculum around video strategy and have that click into your overall business strategy so that it makes sense all of a sudden, and you know what you're filming and why, how to structure it, and how to set it up so that you can really just show up as who you are and not have to freak out. Oh, am I saying too much? Am I giving too much away? Am I, you know, all of those weird things that go through our head when we are connecting with our audience on camera, and just be really solid and have that confidence come from knowing what it is, what value you're bringing, rather than making it about other things.
Yeah, I love that. And I love how you describe that aha moment, because it's like, looking back, you're like, of course, video strategist.
Like, duh.
Thinking.
But honestly, from 2015 to 2017, I was just stabbing in the dark, throwing spaghetti at a wall every week, praying I would meet my income target that I was making at my job. I had no backup savings. It was mental, really.
Yeah. And so you may not have called it a launch at the time, but when was one of your first launches and what did it look like? I'm kind of going for like, what did it look like then and what does it look like now?
Yeah, really interesting. Well, I think it would look very different now if I didn't, I guess, take a hiatus and go and work with a very big company for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done that, and then I took a break, and now I'm back in biz baby for myself. So I'm sort of starting fresh, but with all of my material and curriculum and everything that I had under my belt already. So that's a really unique situation to look at in terms of, well, okay, what does launching look like for you now? And it's a really great question, actually, because I'm like, yeah, how do I want to do this now?
Yeah.
But in terms of what it looked like back then, I think my biggest, like I remember going through all of the launch roller coaster and feeling like, oh my God, about every stage, and spending 2 weeks promoting a masterclass and then delivering it, and then 2 weeks promoting another masterclass. And I was using organic strategies in Facebook groups, and I was showing up in real time all the time. I didn't have a funnel. I didn't have any paid advertising whatsoever. And I launched a webinar. I released a webinar called Videos That Convert that I did live. And then I did another one. I can't remember what that other one was, but Videos That Convert is was really beautifully structured in a way that was strategic, and so it was all a bit meta, like I was using the webinar sort of style that I teach, but that was in 2017. So I've faffed around. Son was born in 2014, faffed around 2015 and 16 trying to figure it out, came up with a new offer every week, worked all hours, made very little, but still had my freedom, was scared a lot of the time and just busting through self-imposed, you can't do that, and doing it anyway. And then I had the epiphany about the video, I think in 2017. And then it was very late 2017 that I did my first webinar, Videos That Convert. And I saw the replay of it not long ago when I was digging up all my old video material, and it's so embarrassing.
I'm sure it's not. I'm sure
No, it really is. It's only 4 years ago, but I'm like, hi everyone. I had this funny little voice and like all of my own, because this is the thing, right? You can have vocal training. I've had years of vocal training as a performer and all of this experience in that area. But when it comes to applying it to actually take off all the masks and not play someone else and just show up as yourself, all of that really went out the window for me. It took me a long time to reconcile the skills that I'd all learned in one setting and be able to apply them in another. And there was, I watched a bit of that webinar and was just like, oh my God, and the funny thing is, this is a really good story. I completely cocked up the tech too, so that I'm there teaching in a webinar about how to make videos that convert. And I had everyone's faces up over my slides on the replay. And I remembered I was crying to my husband. Everyone's going to think I'm a fraud, like here am I teaching video strategy and I can't even I can't do it myself. And he's like, but baby, you've always been shit with tech. Like,
yeah,
that's just part of who you are. And I'm like, that's not helping. Anyway, I ended up tweaking my email sequence with the replay. I was like, look, here's proof that you don't have to do it perfect. You can cock it up. You can make mistakes. You can be a video conversion specialist and have people's faces over your slides and people will still sign up. And that's, I flipped it on its head in that way and said, look, I completely cocked up the tech there. Tech is not my thing. It's my biggest, was my biggest hurdle in getting out there and being seen, having to manage that myself. And I was on a steep learning curve there in terms of, I mean, everyone uses Zoom now, but Zoom also wasn't as fancy, can I say? It was so much easier to have people's faces in front of the slides. Whereas now, if that's what you're doing, you can see it as you're recording, but then you couldn't see it. You had to make sure you're on speaker view. And anyway,
I hear you.
Yeah. And I think I made 3 sales on the back of that one email of saying, like, look, you can cock it up, and show up, cock it up, serve anyway, kind of thing, was my approach. And I had to really unravel any sense of perfectionism, which I had tortured myself with in every other job I'd ever had, or every other role I'd ever had. If it wasn't perfect, it wasn't good enough. And yet you cannot survive in business with that mindset, because the truth is, the bigger it gets, the messier it gets.
Yeah, that's what you were saying to me on Messenger before.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. Yeah, and that's the truth. It doesn't matter how shiny or fancy pants it looks on the front end. The bigger it gets, the more complicated it can be, unless you consciously choose to simplify. And I know that there are entrepreneurs out there who do that, like DDT. I saw her speak at a conference not long ago, a couple of years now. And
COVID, what happened?
COVID, oh my God. Yeah. Remember when we used to go to conferences? And she was saying, like, all roads lead to boot camp. And that was like her mantra, because she always wanted to overcomplicate it. So, it really is about coming back to what sort of personality type are you, what's important to you. You don't want to start your business in the name of freedom and having time freedom with your kids, and then create a business that has you change the desk 24/7.
Yeah. And I love that phrase that she talks about, all roads to boot camp.
Yeah.
Then simultaneously, I've worked with clients where they kind of need a couple of different things going, because it's what keeps them motivated, fuzzy, interested in their vibe. So it really is what you said. You got to find your own way.
That's right. I think if I had one thing and only one thing, I would actually start to feel trapped by that, especially since, there is the strategy aspect, and I've got a lot of experience in high-end sales and packaging, positioning, messaging. And I love working with bigger companies that have bigger budgets, because you can do more stuff, right? But then I love working with solopreneurs, because to me, that they are the people that are following their inner whispers, their soul calling, and taking that bold action, and creating a life on their terms, and being able to provide for their families without having to be absent. And that's really a big motivator for me. And so then there's the video work as well, that prior to COVID times allowed me to go out on set or on location and actually work with people and film them and direct their videos on the day. And that was wonderful work. I love doing that, filming people's course curriculums, helping them structure it, and develop that. And so I do think, it's important to have, for my video work, I have a course that is just about video, but then some people there go, my real problem is actually that my offers aren't clear. Well, we can't solve that in that container. It's not, it's got to be about the videos there. And then so to have the capacity to work on the offers in another way is really, really fun. And then also, having the directorial aspect and that sort of thing is great too. But I do think if I had just one thing only, I would start to feel trapped by it, and I would probably break it. And that's kind of what had started to happen for me when I had run my camera course, I think 3 or 4 times back to back. Launch it, run it, launch it, run it, launch it, run it. I was so sick of it. And I'd used those different rounds to really develop the curriculum and refine my video maps and, the structures I was teaching and all sorts of things, which was great. But I got to the point where I was like, right, this cake is cooked. Like, let's eat. I don't want to keep cooking it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, then there's the chance of like overdoing it, right?
Yeah.
And I think to see her like all roads lead to boot camp is a nice one to kind of come back to see whether you've overcomplicated it. So even if you've got 4 different programs or 2 different programs or 3 different programs, it stops you from having 56 and not doing any of them well.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'd only ever have 2 courses, unless others were digital self-study and I wasn't like actively engaged in the service delivery. I do think there's a lot of merit in that, having evergreen programs that serve people on autopilot, building funnels for those, showing up to spread the word every now and then. That's fabulous. But that takes capital to build. And so you want to be in a position where you're already in overflow if you want to pursue that kind of pathway. You don't want to be like locking yourself in a room trying to self-build a funnel. Ugh, there's nothing worse, right? Like get out there, get in service, create a job for yourself. I used to have this belief. There was a time in my journey where I honestly believed that if you just created a job for yourself in your own business and you hadn't gone any further than that was a wasted opportunity, because you may as well have just had a job, right? And I now don't agree with that at all. I don't believe that anymore. I think it's about, what do you want for your life? And having a sort of scalable empire that you're the CEO and there are a team of 20 people under you. For some people that is their definition of a nightmare, and that is absolutely great. And the truth is, like, once you pay those 20 people and once you pay all those massive overheads and rent and advertising costs and whatever, the bottom line can often look pretty similar. So it's really just about, like, what is your definition of success? Is it having a team and helping pay other people's salaries? If it is, awesome. If that's not it, awesome. Like, So I think that whole thing of coming back to knowing yourself, and I do just have to share with everyone actually that I messaged Anthea yesterday and I was like, hey, so what is your audience's definition of a launch? Because, I'm thinking about this and there's like at least 3 off the top of my head that I can think of. There's I'm launching a new offering, like, here it is, it's just a post, but this is I'm launching this offer because it's new. Or is it like a conversion event, a live event where you convert the hot leads you already have? And so you might have a bit of promo, a gathering of some sort, and then a follow-up, and then you close your cart. Or are you talking about like a 6-week thing where in that time you expand your reach, attract new leads, hothouse them, hopefully not to hell, hothouse them just right so that they're right for your conversion event, run some sort of event, then email them twice a day or more for the next 5 days, have massive list attrition and chew through those leads and hope that and then 10 times your advertising budget from here, all in the span of 6 weeks. Is that because some people say that's what launching is, depending on what kind of methodology you follow. And I was like, I need to know which definition of launching I'm talking about, because I got all in my head, like, well, there's launching and there's launching, and
my answer?
your answer was yes. All of that.
It's all of it and it's none of it. I think that's I was kind of describing to Tori that in a lot of my work with women in business, people often avoid things like launching. I don't even really care if you never say that you launch in your life, but people avoid things like launching because they don't think they're far along enough in the journey. So I just wanted to do a kind of behind the scenes picture of women in business who potentially were at the stage of launching, whatever that looked like, to show that even something like launching is done a billion different ways and is totally imperfect. So maybe you're way closer to saying that you're launching than you think.
Yeah, and it really is that kind of term that if it like makes you feel afraid, don't use it.
Yeah.
And if it like excites you and shows you how far you've come, then use it, right? But it really is that kind of semantic issue, isn't it? Like if I think about all of the different launches that I've been a part of now, I think I would have launched in my own business something that I had created. I've probably done about 10 or 12 of my own launches in my own business. And then my clients, because I'm a strategist, all of my clients were launching, right? And having different kinds of launches as well, whether they were video launches or, evergreen funnels that then convert to something that's live. Like there's lots of different ways to launch, and you can have paid ads and automations, or you can have organic and do it all yourself from your bedroom and so if I look at all of the launches that I've been a part of, no two are the same. No two. Doesn't matter even if it's been with the same CEO. And no two have gone the same way, even if you're effectively doing the same thing. So there's no point trying to go, well, there's one right way to launch. Sure, you can learn lots of different launch strategy. And over the last 20 years, I think I'm across most of them, but they all have different names and terminologies depending on who you ask. And they all have kind of varying rates of success depending on where collective consciousness, if you like, is at in terms of, what we've kind of become wise to or immune to in terms of marketing. And marketing's one of those things where I was just like, I hate marketing now. I hate it. It makes me want to vomit, right? And it's like, but isn't that what you do? And it's like, well, I really believe that with videos, especially, if your messaging is clear, if you really know who you're serving and how you're helping them, what problem you're solving with them, what the results of that are, and your method of doing that, how you help them do that, that you don't actually need to quote unquote sell. Instead, you can teach. And if that's what you want to do, like if you're a course creator or a coach or a facilitator or, then that's what you're born to do. That's what you love to do when people have paid you, right? So just do it at the front end. Stop thinking of it as marketing. Start thinking of it as service. You're just serving the collective, or you're serving your future clients, or, you're serving your community, and work out what it is you need to teach them before they're ever going to be ready to do the real work with you in a paid capacity, and teach them that.
Yeah, totally. And I distinctly remember the aha moment that I had. I don't even know who it was, but I remember having a shift and being like, I'm just solving people's problems.
Yeah.
There are these people in front of me who are really struggling, and I might just lend them an Anthea hand. That is it.
That's it. And then,
my hand, and they may not, just the same way that my friends might be ready to have coffee with me one week and not the next,
Exactly. Yeah. And that's it. You've got to show up first, right? You've got to show up first and commit first, and know that if people are trusting you with their time by watching your videos, then they're already, or consuming your content, right? They're already trusting you. There's already a relationship developing there. So you don't kind of need to do anything weird to earn trust. They're already trusting you with their time. Like, just don't cock it up, right? Basically.
And even if you do cock it up, just tell them that you've cocked it up and they'll probably be fine with it.
Yeah, because they'll be like, wow, this person's actually honest.
That's cool and imperfect and cool.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, the whole kind of aspirational guru style of marketing now, I think, is really on the downturn because we're so tired. Yep. We're so tired. And then there's this other kind of brand of it that kind of dresses itself up as authenticity, but it's not. It's like another curated form of aspirational kind of marketing. And it's exhausting, and it's something that, you know, a lot of people will tell you you have to do if you want to make a good living. And I would say, well, what's a good living to you? Number one, because some people think a good living means you have to have a multi-million-dollar business, and others are like, well, if I can just replace my day job income, I don't know, I'll make up a number, say your day job income's 90K, right? So that's what you're aiming for, right?
I just saw a post in that, I think it was the Lady Startup Lounge the other day, and it's like, for me, because authenticity gets chucked around a lot, right? Yeah. But there was this post, and there was an artist, and she was going to do some videos on her art, and she said, look, my hands have paint all over them. Do you think I need to start wearing gloves and go and get a manicure and then do the videos with that? And we all just shouted, no, I want to see the cool tattooed hands with the paint everywhere. Like, I don't want to see some weird manicured hand if your hand does not look like that.
No. And like, yeah, that's exactly it. Especially if you are your business, right? Like,
yeah,
you are setting out to create a job for yourself, and it's like a personal brand, or you don't want to have to be one person in your life and another person in front of the camera, or
but for me that was the juicy bit. Like, I can't wait.
That's the good bit. That's not the ugly bit. That's the good bit.
The cool bit.
That's the cool bit. Yeah, it's so true. And for so many of us, the bits that we try to hide are actually the bits that are most valuable to our people. And that's why, you know, I really think we need that kind of safe space to explore what those things might be. And CCC is certainly that container, I think, for people to muck around with that. And whether you're in a position of, well, I have a issue with the camera and I just need to like read a book to camera while I regulate my nervous system and tell myself I'm not going to die, or whether you know, you love the camera so much that you need to learn how to be more succinct.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I started doing this interview series. I probably started, I don't even know, maybe a year ago. And initially it just started out as like Anthea's really shit at consistency on a Facebook page. I really love having these conversations with women in business. I'm going to show people the behind the scenes. And then, you know, week by week, I was like, whatever, I'm not even putting makeup on today because this is how you'd find me in the street today. Sometimes I wake up, sometimes I don't.
Yeah, I love it. It's so good. It's really refreshing. And I think we're at a point now where congruence is everything.
Yeah.
So,
and I love your course, and you had a group. I don't know whether you have a group now, and I'll ask you about all of your services at the end. But I've definitely participated in some of your challenges and stuff before, where you just turn on that live every day.
Yeah.
Or turn on that camera every day, and it's such good practice.
It's really good practice. Because, you know, whether you're like showing up in your office setting, or whether, you know, you're at home, or it's one and the same now because of the lockdown and that sort of thing, like, this is where, you know, the cracks start to show if there's big disparity between the front end and the back end, so to speak. And so if you have that advantage of being the same person to all people working for you in your business, then it can really become about the content and what you're sharing, rather than about whether you're, I don't know, standing in front of your splashback in your kitchen, or whether you are like in some luxury hotel, because that's, you know.
And for me, it's like whether the backdrop has moved because the whole family has been in here, and whether my husband's taken the big screen next to it and the lights, he broke a light.
Yeah, well, I used to have a backdrop because behind me was a bed. And I just didn't feel like, you know, whenever I looked at the bed, I wanted to have a nap, and I didn't want my audience feeling that way. So I thought, oh, I better rectify that, and had, you know, the divine Emma Vega Malta design me a backdrop, which became a really big part of my brand and my branding, which I partially brought back this time around, and integrated it with the branding I had the second time around. So that's interesting. And yeah, I mean, I think it really is that my whole thing is your uninhibited purpose-led expression should be the thing that pays the bills. And so regardless of what that looks like for you, you know, if you prefer writing, that's great. Lean into that. But make sure you are honoring your uninhibited purpose-led expression rather than just connecting the dots of, you know, what you think you need to write. I do think there's certainly a place for making sure that you're answering your clients' questions, you're addressing their concerns, you're speaking to the right things. And this is where, you know, if your messaging is on point, then you have that beautiful framework or scaffolding in which to be free.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I just think it makes it so much easier to run your business when you know those things, when you know your messaging. I've just had my latest aha moment with my messaging, and it's just like a breath of fresh air, because I can wake up in the morning and do what I need to do. And then especially now at the moment with lockdown, it's like I don't have as much time as I used to.
No, it's so true. I only have 10 hours a week.
Yeah.
Now.
But I love that. I love that, because one of the ladies in my Mindset Magic membership, she only had 10 hours a week because she just had a baby. And I said, what if you only had 4? Because she was really struggling with it. I was like, what would you do in the 4 if you only had 4? And then the 10 felt like an expansion on the 4.
Nice. I like it.
It was just such a cool experience for everybody to witness, because she had the 10 and then everyone else had the 30 or whatever, and then they were like, what if I only had 10? So everybody was kind of feeling luxurious in the time that they had.
It's a beautiful way to prioritize as well. You know, I think anything that focuses on connection, conversion, service, right? And if you're too much in service mode, then your connection and conversion declines, and then you'll probably get to a point where you're like, I've got no clients. And so rather than having that pendulum swing back and forth like that, creating what can be quite unsettling, if you do have dedicated time every week to reach expansion, connection with new leads, nurturing new leads, and conversion, then it can kind of all form this beautiful ecosystem. And I do think that is something that is a phenomenon that can be a real problem for some people in part-time business, is that too many of their working hours are actually already allocated to service delivery. And there's nothing in place, no strategy in place to support them with their lead generation or reach expansion, whether it's paid or organic, and that connection and that nurturing of that lead with that messaging. And I think it's really easy to kind of stay in that direct sell serve cycle, and it can be hard to take the time out of that in order to create the thing that's actually going to bring in high quality clients more easily. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And quite a few of the ladies that I've interviewed on this series are more moving towards that model, where they don't actually want to be running a huge launch that has a beginning and an end date. They just want their marketing activities to be ongoing and require less of their manual attention.
Yeah.
And be bringing in those leads and converting them consistently.
Absolutely. So that's when having an automated funnel is beautiful. And, it's a way that, like, some people go, oh, that sounds kind of grossly impersonal, but it's actually not. It's, in a way, it's more personal, because it allows your client, your future client, to consume your material and to develop that relationship with you on their own time rather than on your time and making them wait. Like, you only have to look at Netflix behaviors to see how people like to consume content, right? And how much it's impacted our collective consciousness in terms of how content should be consumed. Once upon a time, the only way you could watch your show was in a 30-minute segment once a week, where you'd hold your pee until the ads, and then you'd run to the bathroom and, you know, fight with family members to get back in time. You'd pause the VHS if you're recording it, right? And the only way you got to binge it was if you went through that months-long process of recording and pausing and remembering to unpause. Oh my God, I forgot to unpause. I missed the last 10 minutes of the show. I'm just showing my age now, but you get what I mean, right? Like, that used to be.
Even last night, Jim and I turned on the TV, and like, on our smart TV, the TV comes up first. And I think he even said, "Oh, poor TV."
Who even watches you anymore?
Who even watches you anymore?
And we curate our own content, right? And we'll binge watch a whole season in 2 days if we want to. And so it's important, when you've been in business a while and you don't want to burn out. God, I've done it 3 times now. So that you develop that capacity for people to kind of binge watch you and fall down your kind of rabbit hole. And because the reality is, some people will only take 48 hours. It depends on where they're at in their client journey, right? Like, if they're in enough pain with this problem and they are focused on solving it, and they are effectively shopping for who to solve it with, and they've typed into Google, and, you know, one of your articles or one of your videos has come up.
Specific enough to hit them in the pain.
Yeah.
Not to raise the pain point, but to just hit
to
them.
Acknowledge it, right?
Right.
We find that cathartic. How do we bond with each other? Through our pain. Is it twisted? Potentially, but it's part of the human condition, right? And so if you work with that as an act of compassion for people's pain, and label it for them, then they're like, yes, and they really resonate with it. And if you then switch into solution mode rather than just continuing to prod the pain point or push that bruise and think about where you'll be in 5 years' time if you do nothing, and like, there's absolutely no need to go down that route. If you choose not to. If you choose to, and that feels in alignment with you and your clientele and whatever, then that's fine. But don't feel that that's the only way.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't even remember what the question was now.
I feel like we've diverted about 6 times, but it doesn't matter. We did it together. We did it together.
You did.
And so, really quickly, when you come up against a challenge in your life or your business, what's like the thing that gets you through? Can be business, strategy, support, can be anything.
So I guess it depends on what the challenge is specifically.
Yeah.
If it's to do with mindset or energy, or you know, getting the wobbles, so to speak, then I would go to, you know, I turn to my kinesiologist or biz besties, potentially a coach if I was working with one. I'm not, though. And you know, really have a space where I could talk that through. I've found more lately, though, that it's about the kind of juggle of life in the current situation that we're all in globally that is more the thing rather than business itself. And so I go and sit in circle on Zoom with other women, and, you know, we cry and rage and vent together. And that's nice. And so I think it is about making sure you have people in your corner who really understand you, and developing those relationships with people who are there for you, who care about you rather than just about your business. And that's really, really important that you reciprocate and nourish those relationships over time, because no one else really understands it if they're not in the same boat. So other entrepreneurial friends really do get it in a way that no matter how supportive your spouse may be or your bestie or whatever, they're not going to get it if that's not their pathway, their journey. So I do think there's a lot to be said for that. Then also, on the other hand, I think too, sometimes the most challenging or painful times offer us the best wisdom down the track. And we were just having a giggle about this before we came on live, where, you know, once you've licked your wounds and, you know, the pain of perceived failure or things not working out kind of fades, you can start to look at it with a greater perspective and see, oh, I overextended myself there, or you know, like I don't think that works for me. I didn't like that. I just forced myself to do that. What would feel better next time? And so that's really, that process of trial and error is sometimes essential in terms of working out what suits you, unless you're already very, very clear on like who you are, how you want to operate and function. But so often when we're early on in our journey, we start to listen to all the people outside of us telling us, this is the right way. No, this is the right way. No, this is the right way. And it's probably, you want to take a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of this, and create your own way, right? So unless you're working with someone who can help you tune into that and uncover that for yourself, then chances are you're going to hit roadblocks and be like, oh, that may work for them. It doesn't feel right for me. I'm going to do this. So is that a failure? No, unless you've got kind of perfectionistic thinking, in which case that's the problem.
And it's all about just learning from those challenges and then, you know, being able to teach from them as well.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, sometimes you just have to learn for yourself, right?
Absolutely. My husband's just got home, so I am going to go and close the door. But whilst I do that, can you think of a time when business felt easy? It can be a small moment, a big moment, a launch, whatever. Like, what are the things that you want to remember now that you're going into this next evolution of your business? What are the things that you want to remember that you know that business feels easier when you do X?
Yeah, okay, so this is a really good example, actually. So I've been studying 13 signs sidereal astrology as like a bit of a personal development thing and a fun thing on the side. And of course, the learning curve is like this. And it's all very foreign and confusing, and like learning how to read birth charts and interpret things and getting it wrong and that sort of thing. And then whereas in my business, the beautiful feeling of leaning on your expertise and leaning on your strengths and really narrowing your scope of work accordingly is such a beautiful way to float downstream, right? Like if you can do something in your sleep and you enjoy it and you're good at it, that needs to be like a main service offering. And it sounds like an absolute no-brainer, but you'd be amazed how many people are there like, well, actually, you know, I did this for 12 years, but then I went over here and did this for a year and I'm really struggling. And chances are there's an offering that takes the energy of this and a whole heap of this expertise and allows you to position yourself here and serve dream people in a way that you're made for, absolutely. Right? And often we just make it harder than it needs to be. I know I've done that. I'm like, nah, not good enough. On to the next thing. I'm going to create this whole other universe. And when in reality, like when you get down the track a bit, it's somewhere in between, probably.
Yeah, I love that. And we forget how that original stuff that we learned and that we can do with our eyes shut is going to be really freaking helpful for someone.
Yeah, and because it's so easy for us, we forget how valuable it is, or that it's not common knowledge.
Yeah.
It's like I was helping someone create an offer document the other day. And again, because I've done so many hundreds of them, I just went into my mode and we fixed the copy at the top and structure and all sorts of things. And then I got a PM from her today saying, hey, this might be a stupid question, but just checking, is this offer doc like what I share with people when they want to learn how, like when they want to learn about the course, like when they want more information? And I was like, yeah, that's what it is. But I never explicitly
said, yeah,
because I was like, we've got to work on the offer doc, right? Because I'm just like so in it. And so often when you're so in your own expertise, it's a really good example too of how I actually needed to take 2 steps back for that person and give them more context in terms of how that was going to serve them in their business and in their work, and in their revenue generation and sales and, you know, marketing message as well. And so often we do that, like we're in here and we talk to people through our message that way and they're like, what is that? Or it doesn't, you know, they don't even read it because you're not actually speaking to where they're at. And if you can remember to do that and let the service delivery part of you doing what you do best, let that be easy, and let the learning curve part kind of be around connecting with and converting your dream clients for a time. I think that's a really good way to go, because if everything is a steep learning curve all at once, it's really exhausting. I mean, it's rewarding too, certainly done it, but yeah, I just think like how can I let this be easier is a really great question to ask yourself.
I love that so much. And in my membership, we have a phrase, what if it could be easy? What if it could be fun? And we like pulling up, like even lockdown, the latest conversation, because I've got a lot of the Sydney girls in my membership. And we even said, what if it could be easy and what if it could be fun? And we all wanted to bash each other up at first because we were like, it's not easy and it's not fun, but you know.
But what if it could be? What would that look like? You know, and I've certainly realized, yeah, for me, I can really only get 1 day of effective homeschooling in a week, because after that, my son doesn't want to listen to me anymore. So by day 2, dad has to do it. And then by day 3, we need to do something fun. And then we can potentially rinse and repeat for day 4 and 5. But it took 6 weeks of it not working very well for me to realize this.
Yeah.
Because I just went, this is not fun for me. I quit.
I quit.
So we had to find another way.
Yeah, we can be so hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
We're so hard on ourselves. Okay, cool. So is there anyone specifically that you want me to interview and get the behind the scenes on their launches, their business, what their business evolution has looked like?
I think someone really cool for you to interview is Melissa Cara.
Don't know her. Cool.
A really good friend of mine. She is an amazing woman, and she has launched all sorts of services. She's worked as a business coach. She's also worked in the mindset industry, and she has also just launched the Cara collections, which are a bunch of templates for online training providers like Kajabi and New Zenler and that sort of thing.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, she's amazing. I reckon she'd be great to interview.
Okay, cool. I'll reach out to her. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Worries.
And now, thank you so much for sharing all of this amazing juiciness. Now, can you please share any links, promos, paid, free, whatever you want?
Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll tell you about Connect and Convert on Camera, because we are starting on the 31st of August, which is, gosh, soon, like less than 2 weeks now. It's a 6-week program where you learn how to connect and convert on camera. I teach you everything there is to know about video strategy and also video mapping. So you can define your definition of what launching looks like for you, and then create a video map that's going to allow you to do that with ease and joy. And then we also look at video structures, how to structure your videos so that you can connect with heart and communicate with ease, and really lead your client along that beautiful client journey. And we also look at things like setup and tech and that sort of thing. And you have the opportunity to shoot and get my directorial feedback on your business videos. You're encouraged to go live as frequently as you like in there as well to get comfortable on camera. And we also look at stats and reviews. So how to distribute your videos, and then also what the stats mean in terms of how effective they are for conversion in different areas of your business. And you have 6 weeks of live group coaching calls. Did I mention that? There's a digital curriculum already in the Facebook group, which is from a few years ago now. And that's what I was saying to Anthea. It's like, oh my God.
It's still amazing. It's still amazing.
The content is still amazing. It's just really funny to hear myself be like, hi. But yes, I mean, when I was last launching this program, I believe the price point was about $1,500, but it's only $295 at the moment. It's an absolute steal on purpose, mostly because so many of us are now in a position where either we've come into the online space quite recently, and you possibly don't know me from a bar of soap because I haven't been around for the last 18 months, or I just feel it's a beautiful way to connect and help as many people as possible. And I love the community that we have there. There's already 40 people in Connect and Convert on Camera, and we're growing the community. Anthea's with us. She's part of the alumni, and alumni are welcome back for future live rounds. So you can get my directorial eye on your videos. Also ask any strategic questions you have, and I walk you through step by step by step. So you can take 6 weeks to do it if you want to, or you can binge watch me Netflix style, work through the workbooks, and then bring your questions, any questions from any module to any coaching call, as well as post your videos and I'll look at them. So it's insane value. Yeah, it's a crazy price on purpose. And I would love to have you join us. What I'll do is post an outline, a PDF document outline in the comments, I think, or maybe I'll send it to you if anyone can't find it there. And
do
I'll
both.
do both, yeah.
And then I'll send it, I'll put it in the outline.
Love it. And if you have any questions, just PM me. Obviously, I'm going to show up in the feed here. And yeah, I'd love to have you join us.
Amazing. And if anyone is not ready to join that program straight away, is there anything that you've got free on offer that they can go and check out?
Yeah, so you can check out my website, which I've literally just put up, toriCrewes.com. And there's some great free material there. I've only in the last week started creating content again. So there's 1 or 2 videos up there, but you'll see more and more. Actually, my YouTube channel has a lot of stuff on there from previous incarnations as well. So that's possibly your best bet for free content. So I'll put a link up to my YouTube channel as well.
Perfect. And I've just put in the comments www.toricrewes.com.
Yeah, that's it.
We'll come back and add any other links.
Yeah, I'll add a link to the YouTube channel. I'll add a PDF for CCC, and anything else at all, just ask, and I'd be really happy to answer your question in the thread.
Amazing. And if you've enjoyed this conversation, please share it, like it, give us some love, #replay. Welcome the beautiful Tori Crewes back. We are so happy to have you back in our world.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for sharing all your beautiful wisdom with us.
An absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. It's been really fun.
Super fun. Bye.